o'clock, and for everyone's time, we'll get started. My name's Justin Pelham. I'm the communications specialist with the Chamber of Commerce. This is our virtual roundtable of our business resources during this COVID-19. Housekeeping, for those on a PC, at the bottom, if you could click on Manage Participants, and then a sidebar will show up. If you have a question during our presentations today, please click the raise your hand icon. And then during our question and answer segment, I will get to your questions and unmute you. If you are on a cell phone and you don't see the raise your hand option, please just unmute your mic during the question and answer, and that'll signal to me that you are ready for a question. Today we have two presenters. One of them then is Cindy Larsen, the president of the Muskegon Lakeshore Chamber of Commerce, and the other is Morgan Carroll, our advocacy and manufacturing manager. So I will start with you, Cindy. What has the Chamber been doing for the community and the business community in the past few weeks?
Okay, well, Justin, right now we're totally focused on getting information out, and the people that are on this webinar probably have already figured that out. I'm going to jump right into a couple of the resources so that we can get going on that part of it. We did create a resource page, and that resource page is being updated all the time, every day. Every time we get information in that we think is good for you guys and could be helpful, we're putting it up there. But however, if you're confused, it's because these programs are not all detailed out yet. We're going to get a lot more information even later today on the SBA programs. And that'll continue every day, which is why that resource section is up there and will be updated all the time. We also want to tell you, in terms of resources, and we've said this, but sometimes people are just starting to get it. The accountants and the bankers and the attorneys, you need to go to them if you have not already. They are getting direct communications from the IRS and the Small Business Administration so that they can help you fit the program to your business. So on our website, there are some cool links, and the couple of them that I just want to point out are the SBA Small Business Guidance and Loan Resource link. That's a pretty darn good link that's easy to understand. And then the CARES Act Small Business Guide is pretty easy to understand. So, however, what we're finding out, like, for example, the Small Business Administration, they may have like 7 programs or 8 programs, and some of those are really new and just specific to what's happening right now, the economic relief. But they do have their older programs as well. And I can just tell you that people who use those SBA programs do like them. And so don't be fearful to jump into some of that. Because I know those are some of the questions I'm getting. If they've never done an SBA program before, they're a little bit hesitant. So what they're doing with their older programs and the newer programs is they're trying to make them easier and quicker to get into. That's one of the reasons people haven't used them in the past. So then also, not all banks at this point are SBA lender banks. Okay, we found that out this week. Well, we knew that, but we thought basically what they were telling us is that all the banks would have access. They don't all yet. So if later today, we're going to find out the names of all the banks that have these programs or have access to these programs. So the other thing about this is if you are with a bank that's not an SBA lender, they may have their own programs. So I've already heard of small businesses just going to their banker, and the banker starts working with them immediately, not necessarily on the government programs, but on other opportunities. So, but the government programs, some of them are pretty interesting because part of loans are forgivable. The interest rates are super low. There's some other things that are grant related or tax benefits, which is why the accountant is so important, because the programs are not one size fits all. All the business programs are slightly different, and your accountant who knows your business and understands your finances is going to be the best person to help you pick out and layer some of these programs. So I'll stop right there for a second because I was talking fast. And because besides those professional counselors, which hopefully you already have, and if you don't, you know, we can maybe help you find some, they are SBA counselors. And if we don't have the links to the local ones, Justin, who's helping us do the site, maybe you can, we just got to double check and make sure we have that. They are a little bit overwhelmed, right? But everybody is working long hours and calling people back. So let me rest there for a second and pass it over. So.
All right. Morgan, you've been working with their manufacturers. Can you tell us a little bit about the things that you've been working on and what the manufacturers have access to?
Yeah, for sure. So right now, so the state of Michigan released $20 million in grant and loan programs and funding last week, Friday. So we've been working on that. So if you have applied for that, thank you. Make sure you send it over to me. If not, our application deadline closes on the 6th of April, so Monday the 6th at 5 o'clock. So if you have questions, if you want to get that over, send that over to my email address. Just so you guys know, the entire county has about $280,000 for grant and loan funding, and it's split right down the middle. We will consider the grants first, and then we will move into the loans. So hopefully we'll have some decisions by the middle of April. We've received over 200 applications with over $3 million requested out of our $280,000. So be patient with us. We are definitely doing our best. On that note too, as Cindy said, you can stack your loan and grant programs. So just because you're applying for this one, just because you applied for a SBA loan or grant, does not mean that you can't apply for other ones. So double check when you go to apply for those programs. Two, with pertaining to all businesses, if you're looking to still lay off individuals, etc., make sure you check out the WorkShare program. That's through the state of Michigan. It allows you to keep your employees part-time, and then also they can receive part-time unemployment benefits. The employer fills out that portion. They take care of all the documents, etc. All the information is on the state's website, the MyWAM website, that you would go through for any other unemployment related issues. If you have questions about that, you'd want to contact West Michigan Works. Third program I wanted to talk about is, it was actually released yesterday. So it is called the Michigan Businesses Looking to Retool and Manufacture Critical Supplies. So Pure Michigan Business Connect, which is ran through the state and Michigan Economic Development Corporation, they released $1 million in grants for manufacturers to kind of help retool and get new equipment, etc., to help them more or less manufacture any critical supplies that's needed in the medical industry. So if you're interested in that, the link is going to be on our website, but you apply right through the state on the MEDC's michiganbusiness.org website. They will also, the cool thing about this program is not only can you apply for the grant, but then the Pure Michigan Business Connect team can help you connect with new potential customers to then buy these supplies from you as you rework through all of that. Last program I want to talk about is if you're in the city of Muskegon, and I know that multiple other municipalities have programs going on, but there is a revolving loan fund that's for the city of Muskegon, for City of Muskegon businesses. So if you have questions about that, you'd want to contact the city. So I'll leave it at that, Justin.
Right.
Justin, can I jump in here a little bit? Since I know we have a couple minutes. Yeah, thanks. I was also, if you haven't talked to your accountant in depth, I see now that they also have some, what would you call, like formulas where they can just plug in some numbers to help you decide which of these programs are fit for you. Because I do see that there are the very small businesses that are just going on unemployment, but they are the ones that are going to be able to help you decide. And then, of course, on the human resource side, if I didn't mention earlier, the attorneys are, of course, getting on top of a lot of that activity as well. And as I said, a lot of the professional organizations are getting now the information directly, which wasn't happening a couple of weeks ago. So it's great to see that the communications are getting faster and better and easier to understand than they were so like a week ago. And I would think that next week, same thing again.
All right, Cindy and Morgan, thank you. Is there anything else that you want to touch base on before we go into some question and answers?
Yes, I remembered something else. Okay, beyond the government programs, we are now starting to hear about the nonprofit programs that are helping very specific small businesses, like, let's say, for an example, daycare. Okay, obviously that's another small business that's been hit super hard. So we are just starting to get into that area. So if you have information, please give it to us. And I know some of the trade associations are trying to help specific industries. So if you are part of a trade association, hopefully by now they've contacted you umpteen times. So we need you to also give us information so that we can try to figure it out and then get it back on our website as a resource, or at least link you to the right people.
All right, anything else for you to follow up on, Morgan?
No, that's it for right now. I'll take lots of questions though.
All right, Cindy, anything else? Any final?
No, I do see we have some other resource people, like somebody from the city of Muskegon is online, so we probably can take questions about their specific programs as well, but so I'll let it at that.
Okay, at this time we'll move into the question and answer segment of the meeting. If you have a question, please just scroll down to the bottom if you're on a PC to manage participants. A sidebar will scroll open, and then please click raise your hand. If you're on a cell phone, please unmute your mic and I will call on you for questions. All right, the first one we'll go to is Sonia.
Thomas.
Oh, we'll go to Thomas.
Yeah, Morgan,
Yes.
how many applications did you receive and for what amount again did you say?
Yes, so we have processed over 200 of them right now. We still have a few more to go, and then also still returning phone calls. We have over 3 million that's been requested.
And how much you have available?
280,000.
Okay, all right. And do you know for the stimulus package, have the grant application came out yet?
Cindy, I'll let you answer.
Well, that is a great question. Through the accountants, I know we are getting started on that ourselves at the chamber. So even if the application isn't there online yet, and it may be like even today, there is assistance. So either the accountant or going to the Small Business Development Center to get you started on that, because they are taking your numbers, obviously, and helping you with that assistance. So great question. I do know that banks have some online applications starting later today.
Thank you so very much.
Okay, we will move on to Sonia.
Hi there. Thanks for this opportunity. Really appreciate it. Question coming from a company that has very good credit. What would we qualify for, mainly on the federal level, but also local, or what should we be applying for?
That's a great question, because if you look at, that is the SBA Small Business Guidance and Loan Link. A lot of the short descriptions will say right on there, you need a good credit score or you need good credit to apply for those programs. So that's why I can't memorize them all, right? Because there's too many. But reading over them, I did notice some of them stated that right in there that don't apply unless you already have good credit and a good credit rating.
Okay. Thank you, Cindy. Second question. This is the first I've heard of the revolving loan fund in the city, and obviously we're in the city. Can someone speak to that?
Yeah, Dave Alexander, can you unmute yourself and
I am.
answer that? Unless he's not on here anymore.
Am I now?
There, you're good.
Yep. You want me to ask my question?
No, I want you to answer Sonia's question about who to contact for the revolving loan fund.
Revolving Loan Fund City of Muskegon would be Jake Ekholm. And that's Jake.Ekholm, EKHOLM at shorelincity.com. Shoreline City, all one word, .com. Jake Ekholm. And you can call the economic development. If you look up on the page of planning and economic development, there is a office phone that is being monitored.
And Justin, is it possible for you to put that in the chat?
Yeah.
I can do. Justin, can you get that? Okay.
Yeah, and
right.
Yeah, and just FYI, this is our first one, and we are learning how to manipulate this medium, and we'll be able to do better in the future with the PowerPoints and all that kind of thing. But this is our first trial.
Sure, yeah. Understood.
Yeah.
All right. We'll move on to Pixel 2. I'm not sure who that is.
It's Suzanne Velarde.
Oh, good morning.
Hey.
Hi, good morning. I've talked to Cindy about this a little bit. As of a couple of days ago, the state website was still not ready to take in information for self-employed contract 1099 people. They finally did put up a message that we were not supposed to apply yet. This is for my husband. And I'm just wondering if the chamber can send out some kind of a notice or email if you do find out that they are ready to for intake for those businesses. If maybe the chamber could do that, if you find out that they're ready for those businesses.
Absolutely, we will commit to doing that. I know that a lot of our members are in the self-employment category, yeah, we're trying to check. And we're constantly checking. But if you, I know in one case you ran into something right away, Suzanne, before I did. So if anybody runs into that, let us know. But we will be constantly checking and send that one out.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you.
All right, next we'll move on to Alan from Wonderland Distillery.
Thanks, guys. I have a question and kind of a statement as well. Questions directed towards Morgan. You had mentioned somewhere on the Chamber's website, there's a resources page for companies that had retooled to help be part of the supply chain during this. I was looking, I can't see it right away. Is there any way you could maybe send that to me?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's actually on the state's website.
Okay.
MichiganBusiness.org, but I think I can send it out to everybody right on this chat. So let me try that.
Perfect.
Okay,
And then
I sent it to everybody, so you're good.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. So the statement part of that comes with obviously our company's retooled our entire business model to be producing hand sanitizer right now during this crisis. So just want to help spread the word. And I don't know if this will help if we're part of the resources page, but we're producing hand sanitizer for first responders and critical companies that are still open right now. So if anybody that is a business owner that's open that has a need, or you guys know of somebody that's out there, if you could help keep spreading the word and have them contact me directly, which is Allen, ALLEN at wonderlanddistilling.com. We'd be glad to help out. So we're just trying to get the word out there that we're making hand sanitizer and we're trying to help out companies and first responders right in our own backyard. So,
you know, Alan, thank you so much for sharing that. That is super important. And the fact that you've jumped right away to retool the business. And I think that is hopefully what, as people can clear their heads, they're already starting to work on what does this world look like for the next year, 2 years, and the rest of our lives. And we may be having to change what we do. And so like even including the chamber, we may not have these big mega events like we love to have, you know? So thank you for pointing out that you've already down that road and have retooled your business, because I think hopefully everybody on here is thinking about that.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ellen. And now we'll move on to someone who's admin. Let's unmute them.
Yeah,
Admin, can you go?
Sorry about that. I'm Kimi George from the Tish salon downtown Muskegon. Just a couple of questions about the small business grants. What's that decision-making process looks like? Sounds like you've got a lot of applications. So how does that, what's the criteria, you know, that you're considering in awarding those grants?
Yeah, so the criteria, we are getting some of it from the state that we're gonna have to look at, but then we can also add additional criteria ourselves. So basically though, what we'll be doing, how the process is going to work, we have a grant and loan selection committee. So there's a group of us that will be meeting and reviewing all of the applications. We'll look at, obviously we're going to look at need, we'll look at, you know, what the funding will be used for, the opportunity for others to, so if you're a business and you can increase your line of credit at the bank, or if you don't have that option, there's a big difference between if we're going to, you know, if that's going to be a chosen grant or loan. But like I said, we'll go through the grants first. We'll have 140 and some change for the grants, and then same with the loans. We anticipate putting that information out middle of April, and then checks being cut in the middle of April.
So you know, like our business, we were mandated to close down, obviously, so we had to lay off all of our staff, unfortunately. But you know, small businesses like ours and lots of other ones, you know, we still have to pay our rent and stuff. Are those kinds of things that are going to be considered in this decision-making piece?
Yes, absolutely. So the qualifications, you know, you have to have under 50 employees. There's, you know, the application's about, I don't know, 50 or so questions.
Yeah, simple.
Yeah, yep. And when we look at your P&Ls and everything like that, that's very helpful in determining, like, you know, how stable the business is, et cetera. But yeah, you can use the money for whatever. It's free and clear with the grant funding. So once you get it, you're good to go.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Thank you for your question. Emily, do you have a question?
I just have a comment. Hi, I'm Emily Morgenstern, the other communications specialist at the Chamber. So I just put 2 links into the chat. Watch Muskegon, we have started a Facebook group for supporting local businesses during this time. And then we also have MLCC Member Connect, which is a private Facebook group for all of our Chamber members. So if you're not a part of that yet, you can click the links and join. And those are both resources to share information with other business owners, and then also for just putting information out to the public. So if your businesses are still open, it's really good for restaurants and stuff to put their hours of operation right now.
Thank you, Emily.
So I'm going to add one more thing, Justin. Back to the grant and loan program that's going on right now. The grant and loan application are the exact same. So you don't have to fill out 2 separate forms to be included or anything like that in either of them. They're same form.
And to that point, you know, the resources are limited at the state, but the federal has a lot. And I did notice some express programs and others where there are small grants connected to the loans. Everybody is being patient in terms of, you know, not making you pay right now, because let's face it, you know, they have to. They don't have a choice. You know, people are not kicking people out. And so just don't be shy about asking, and just hopefully all of you have started asking landlords and everybody else, to your mortgage folks, about slowing up expectations.
All right, back to Kimmy. You have a follow-up question?
Yeah, I do. So on the on the loan piece of the that funding, that the application works for the same for one or the other. Will you, as you go through and make your decisions, will you, so the people that have applied will, and if they don't get a loan, will you, will that kind of bump them over into the loan category where they would have an option to take out a loan using that funding? And also, I know there's a piece of a loan piece that is eventually forgivable, I think. Is that is the loan funding that you're talking about connected to that as well?
No, so two different programs. The loan that's forgivable is a federal program. Okay. This one though is much different than any other loan program because it's a 0.25% interest rate. Okay. And for the first 60 months, all you're doing is paying for the interest. Okay. So that's how that program's going to work. And then what was your other question?
If you've applied for a grant, but you're not selected, will the team that's making these decisions, will they kind of bump you into that loan piece and offer that piece to you?
Yep. Okay. Yep.
And on that note, I think the forgivable loan, that is the payroll protection program.
Okay.
And that's another really good one to take a look at. And that's like a 0.50 interest rate. And it's, again, only like a 2-year loan. I mean, you don't even have to do it 2 years. I mean, but, and there's also some of these loan programs, to Morgan's point, some of them, you don't really have to pay anything right away. And so that's where it can get in tricky, but the accountants and bankers are really becoming good at it, and the SBA counselors.
A question for you. During this process, is it possible for us to maybe have another one of these meetings where someone could help to break those things down? Because I'm sure there's a lot of us that are scrambling right now just to figure out how, when this is over, we're going to move forward. But right now we're just trying to maintain, and there's so much out there, but it's hard to understand it all. Is that possible to get someone who has, not to say that this isn't very informative, but to say, you know, that someone that knows those programs?
Totally, thank you. That was, hopefully, we thought if this works and people actually come on it, absolutely. After this, we are lining up the real experts, and everybody from the guy at Consumers Energy, Rich, he may be on today. Anybody that we think is an expert, we'll start lining these up.
Great.
And taking your suggestions as well.
Great.
All right. Are there any more questions? If you have a question, just unmute yourself or raise your hand on the sidebar. All right, I'm not seeing. Dennis, do you have a question?
Yes, I do. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay. We're a small employer here locally, and one of them that's deemed non-essential for a lot of our services by the executive order. So we were in the position of having to lay off some of our employees. We're trying to look out for their interests and do what we can to soften that blow. And we're hearing about this $600 additional per week is the way we're hearing. Does anybody have a clue how that's going to work? Because we've told our employees we're going to carry their insurance through this, however long it goes, and we're going to do everything we can to try to make sure they have the income stream that they normally have under the payroll. That $600 would go a long way toward that. So if somebody has an answer, I'd like to hear it.
Morgan, or do you want to jump in? Because I can jump in. I mean, when the 600 starts, I'm not really sure, but yes, that 600 a week on top of unemployment insurance, that is really great for a lot of people that live in our community. So we're going to use, there's Lisa. Did I see Lisa's name popped up? So she's the expert on that. Lisa, okay. Are you there?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes.
Yep,
great.
We can hear you, Lisa. Go ahead.
Okay, so 600, as Cindy said, we don't know exactly when that will start, but it'll be pretty soon. And we are expecting a few more guidelines from the state on that. Be careful with your health insurance. Talk to your insurance broker, because if you had a policy that says if you terminated someone normally, maybe it only goes through the end of the week, the end of the day, the end of the month. So you can't say, if you lay them off, you can't say that you're going to continue it. You'll end up self-funding yourself. So modify that with your insurance broker.
Yeah, we've already had that conversation, and because of these circumstances, that's beyond all of our control. They're working with us on it.
Good.
All right, thank you, Lisa and Dennis. Are there any more questions? Please just unmute yourself.
Jason,
or raise your
I
hand.
put the City of Muskegon's Jake Eckholm's email and telephone on the chat. You can reach it there.
All right, thank you, Dave. We'll jump back to Sonia real quick.
And we are getting to the end of the time limit, FYI, so.
Yep.
Okay, real quick, I'm getting conflicting counsel with regards to whether our insurance policy will cover lost revenue. Do we have anything concrete? Can anyone contribute to that question?
Yeah, anybody online, what I have been told is no, so I don't want to be the expert on that, okay? So, but they did say it is not a bad decision to try to talk about claiming this with your insurance company, because that's a good record and a point in time where things are documented. So, but I think that with having an insurance person online in the future would be another good resource person. So I'm just telling you what I heard. So please, that's all.
Thank you, Cindy.
Okay, jump to Emily, and then we will close this out.
I just put my email, emorgenstern@muskegon.org, in the chat. So we are compiling a list of future webinars right now, but if you have suggestions for webinars, feel free to shoot me an email. Or if you have suggestions, because I send out all of the emails and run the social media, if you have suggestions for that as well, for resources that we're not putting out, you can email me for that too.
And I just one more in closing. You know, we are trying to reach out to other community partners like Health West and our SCORE volunteers to get people that you can just talk to, because I know we are all under such a huge amount of stress, and we're also getting conflicting information on, you know, how to handle that. You know, can we go outside or can't we go outside? You know, so I mean, there's a lot of things as a community in terms of mental health, and it looks like we're going to have some leaders start coming out in Muskegon to help us on the mental health side of all of this as well.
All right. Well, with that, we will close out this meeting. We will be scheduling more in the future, so keep an eye out for that. If you have a recommendation of what we should do for a future virtual roundtable, or if you're looking for an industry expert, please let us know. Our contact is on muskegon.org, and make sure to visit muskegon.org to visit our business resource page for up-to-date links about everything that's happening during this time. So thank you, Morgan. Thank you, Cindy, for your time. And I'd like to thank everybody for joining us. And with that, that is the meeting's concluded. Thank you.